Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of the Unstoppable Denominators channel of Wrestling Results. Here in this channel, AEW Dynamite Results for February 9, 2022. This contains spoilers. Tonight's episode of AEW was broadcast live from Jim Wallen Broadwalk Hall in Atlantic City, New Jersey. It's Wednesday night, and you know what that means. Tony Schiavone, Excalibur, and Jim Ross were the broadcast team for tonight's event. The show opened up with Wardlow carrying out a cardboard cutout of MJF to the ring. A very undignified entrance for Wardlow, said Excalibur. And they are chanting CM Punk's name, added Jim Ross. Wardlow handed some paper notes to ring announcer Justin Roberts. Justin Roberts introduced Tully Blanchard and FTR, Dax Hardwood and Cash Wheeler. So they got an introduction, but not Wardlow, said Tony Schiavone. Next time, the chairman, Sean Spears, was introduced. Spears handed Justin Roberts a large sheet of paper to read, with a lengthy introduction for MJF. MJF acting like he won the AEW World Championship when he scored that tainted victory over CM Punk, said Excalibur. MJF was carried to the ring on a throne. The Pinnacle had a celebrity group hug, but Wardlow stayed back and didn't join in. MJF says, "Cut my music. Let me just make something perfectly clear. I think I made it crystal clear last week that I am the best wrestler on the planet. Not Kenny Omega, not Bryan Danielson, not Adam Cole, not Hangman. No. Right now, you're looking at the best in the world. No, scratch that. I just beat CM Punk twice in Chicago. I'm better than you, than the best in the world. Last week I was a little bittersweet for me because after I just beaten CM Punk, a lot of emotion came over me. It was that moment I realized I just beat up someone I grew up idolizing. So I leaned over and whispered to him, 'You suck.' If anyone deserves the words thank you, it's Sean Spears. If you didn't warm me up, I don't know if I could have done it." Wardlow looked surprised that MJF didn't thank him and thanked Sean Spears instead. Sean Spears showed off a new MJF t-shirt and then he had designed for MJF that currently available for sale online. CM Punk walked out on the stage. Tony Schiavone came over to interview him. CM Punk says, "You're talking about beating me in Chicago? Your win in Chicago is about as suspect as your spray tan. I don't like to ask for help, but I learned my lesson. Today, I've got some friends." Darby Allin and Sting walked out with some baseball bats. CM Punk, "I want a rematch." MJF protested. CM Punk says, "Max, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to Wardlow. And Wardlow, you can be on the other end of the beating that these jerks will receive, or you can leave them. Shut up, Max. Give me a rematch." Dax Hardwood says, "Punk, I'm begging you. I'm begging for a rematch." CM Punk says, "All you had to do was ask, Dax. The three of us agree to a rematch because I'm getting my hands on MJF. MJF says, "You want a rematch against me? And FTR want a rematch against you? We're in Atlantic City. How about we roll the dice a little? If you can beat FTR with a partner of your choosing, you can wrestle me, but it can't be Sting or Darby Allin. Who could he be partners with? Now, in the meantime, Wardlow, you'd better suit up because you've got a match next. Punk can get a rematch with MJF anytime, anywhere, if he can find a partner and beat FTR, said Excalibur. Backstage, Andrade El Idolo met with Sting and Darby Allin. Andrade, finally I meet your boss. Nice to meet your boss. This kid works for you. Sting, he's not a kid. Secondly, if you have a dispute with Darby, talk to me. Darby says, I have bigger things to do than work for you, like become the the next TNT champion. Okay, Andrade, you will work for me. We have something in common. You want the TNT championship? I am the next TNT champion. Sting, one thing is for sure, he means it. AHFO's The Blade versus the Mr. Mayhem Wardlow with the chairman Sean Spears. Wardlow signed up under very short notice for this match, said Excalibur. The Blade chop blocked Wardlow from behind before the bell rang. The Blade kicked at Wardlow's leg. Wardlow took Blade off his feet with an explosive lariat. Wardlow followed up with a belly-to-belly suplex, and then another. Wardlow lifted up the Blade and rammed him spine first into the steel ring post. Wardlow charged, but Blade countered with a knee strike. Blade tried for another knee strike, but Wardlow caught him and powerbombed Blade. There was a second powerbomb to Blade. Wardlow kept powerbombing the Blade. Wardlow placed his boot on the Blade's chest and pinned him. Sean Spears nailed the Blade with a steel chair after the match. Inner Circle team meeting. Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, and TNT champion Sammy Guevara walked out to the ring. Santana and Ortiz were noticeably absent. Jericho says, listen, I know that I said the whole Inner Circle was going to be out here tonight, but honestly, we haven't seen Santana or Ortiz all day. Santana and Ortiz walked out to the ring with new music. Jericho says, all right, I see what you did there. You want your own spotlight and you deserve it. But 2 weeks ago, you didn't tag me in to our own match against 2.0 and Daniel Garcia. You robbed our fans who paid to see Chris Jericho. It was disrespectful. Why did you do it? Want to know why? Because they don't like you anymore, Chris. They're going with Eddie Kingston. Santana says, listen, Chris, enough of this corny shit. Sometimes you gotta see things for what they are. And at the end of the day, Chris Jericho only cares about the one person, and that's Chris Jericho. Anytime we've had to shift our focus, it has been for the betterment of one person, and that's Chris Jericho. And anytime it seems like we're headed to the top for the AEW tag team titles, it seems like it gets shifted so we can come to your rescue. Chris, am I wrong? Chris, I ain't done. It's funny that we're out here. We came out here to tell you that the days of us playing second fiddle are over and done with. At the end of the day, it was always you that stood in our way and made sure that we didn't have a bigger spotlight than you. But it was the fans that kept us going. And Chris, you'd better better than Ortiz, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have dropped your ass a long time ago. Now you may speak. Jericho says, you remind me of my friend Eddie Guerrero. He'd get all hyped up and then blame his own friends. What kind of stroke does Eddie Kingston have in this company? I'm the influencer. Since I brought you here, you've made more money in your lives in this company than you ever made before. And yet, you still want to blame me. You had your own chance to become the AEW World Champions about a year ago, but you lost to the Young Bucks. That had nothing to do with me. And brought you into the inner circle. I can kick you out. Maybe I invited the wrong 2 members of LAX to join. Hey Jake, you got Homicide and Hernandez's phone number? Santana lunged at Jericho. Sammy, hey guys, stop. We're a family. I love you guys. Inner circle forever. But Chris, I gotta be honest with you. One of my goals is to be the greatest champion in wrestling that there's ever been. And all this bickering back and forth won't help. So, you know what? I've quit this group before. And unless you guys can figure it out, I'll quit again. Figure it out. Ortiz says, what do you expect, Chris? You're throwing around threats. First, Sammy walks away. What's next? Like the inner circle? Eddie Kingston is one of our brothers in arms. All this bickering won't solve anything. Where we come from, we settle our issues with our fists. Next week, Santana and Ortiz against Jericho and Hager. And we settle this once and for all. Jericho, I never wanted it to come down to this. And maybe next week, after Jake and I smack you around, you'll come to your senses. Backstage, we have Tony Schiavone interviewed Roppongi Vice about their match with the Young Bucks on Rampage this Friday. The Young Bucks and Adam Cole ambushed Rocky and Trent. The Switchblade Jay White walked through the forbidden door and rammed Trent into a semi-truck. For Face of the Revolution qualifying match, we have Isaiah Cassidy with Big Money Matt Hardy and Mark Quinn versus surprise Limitless Keith Lee in his AEW debut. What a shocker. I was shocked to see Keith Lee in AEW. So, I've heard nothing but great things about this young man. We're so happy he's here in AEW, said Jim Ross. Keith Lee hurled Cassidy all the way across the ring. Keith Lee flattened Cassidy with a crossbody. Keith Lee used a slingshot into a crossbody onto Cassidy. Keith Lee ran through a clothesline attempt from Cassidy and then shoulder blocked him. Matt Hardy walked out on Private Party during this match. Mark Quinn grabbed the boot of Keith Lee, and this allowed Cassidy to hit a corkscrew over the top rope. Keith Lee returned to the ring and shrugged off Cassidy. Keith Lee hoisted up Cassidy and then power slammed him, scoring the pin on his opponent. Private Party tried to double team Keith Lee after the match. Keith Lee caught Cassidy mid-flight and dumped him. Keith Lee plucked Mark Quinn out of the air in mid-flight and powerbombed him on top of Cassidy. FTR, Cash Wheeler, and Dax Hardwood with Tully Blanchard versus CM Punk and Jon Moxley. CM Punk and Dax squared off. Jon Moxley teamed them up. teamed up with him. Dax shoulder tackled Punk. Cash tagged in and applied a hard headlock on Punk. CM Punk used an arm drag takedown on Cash. Mox tagged in, but Dax took Mox down with a side headlock takeover. Mox fought to his feet and scoop slammed Dax. Mox landed 2 kicks on Dax, and then a 3rd kick. Punk tagged in, and FTR began to double team Punk, working over Punk's leg. Dax chopped away at CM Punk. Mox tagged in and cleared house. Mox German suplex Cash and then Hardwood. Moxley nailed FTR with a double DDT outside the ring. FTR held up Punk, but Mox hurled himself with a top suicida and whipped FTR on the arena floor. FTR lifted up Jon Moxley and smashed him through the timekeeper's table. Mox was bleeding, so Dax dropped elbows on Mox's forehead. Moxley had a surge of energy and suplex Cash. Mox went for the tag, but Dax blocked Punk from making the tag. FTR used tandem offense to get a near fall on Jon Moxley. Hardwood jumped off the top rope for an elbow drop, but Mox dodged it. Mox fired back with ab big time lariat on Cash. Mox got the hot tag to CM Punk. Punk connected with a leg lariat on Dax. He followed up with a rising knee strike in the corner on Dax for a near fall. Mox lifted up Dax on his shoulders, and then Punk nailed Dax with a doomsday device. Punk scored a near fall on Dax. On the outside, Cash Wheeler DDT'd Mox on the arena floor. Wheeler grabbed the ring bell. Dax shoved Punk into Cash, and Cash smashed the ring bell into Punk. Dax nearly pinned Punk, but Punk got his shoulders up just in time. Punk is standing based on adrenaline and a urge, said Schiavone. Punk tried for the GTS on Dax, but Cash intercepted. FTR blasted Punk with the big rig, but Moxley was there to make the save for Punk. Moxley and Punk stood back and slugged it out with FTR. Moxley hooked on the bulldog choke, and Punk locked on the Anaconda Vice, but Tully Blanchard jumped into the ring, but Punk connected with the GTS on Blanchard, while Mox spiked Dax with the paradigm shift. Punk KO'd Cash with a GTS and pinned Cash for the victory. TBS Championship Open Challenge match. TBS Champion Jade Cargill with Smart Mark Sterling versus AQA. She's 26-0, and said Jim Ross of Jade Cargill. Jade ragdolled AQA to the mat. AQA used her agility with a deep arm drag to Jade. Jade hoisted up AQA by the arm and smashed her onto the mat. Jade popped up AQA, but AQA answered with a dropkick in midair. Jade smashed her forearm into AQA. Jade snap suplex AQA onto the arena floor. AQA strung together a combination in the ring and took down Jade with a sling blade. Jade Cargill got rocked by that, said Excalibur. AQA got whipped into the ropes by Jade, but AQA fired back with a swinging DDT. AQA connected with a shooting star press on Jade for a near fall. The power of Jade Cargill absolutely shocked AQA, said Jim Ross. AQA went back up top up to the top rope, but Jade knocked her off balance. I think the champion is getting impatient as hell, said Jim Ross. Jade caught a QA and pancaked her with the jaded finisher, scoring the pin. Jade Cargill's championship in her perfect record. The Professor's 5-minute rookie challenge. The Professor, Serena Deeb versus Katie Arquette. Deeb hit an uppercut on Katie in the corner. Deeb used a swinging neck breaker and then wrenched back on Katie. Katie was forced to tap out. Main event time, AEW World Title Texas Death Match. Champion Hangman Adam Page versus Murder Hawk Monster Lance Archer with Jake the Snake Roberts and American Top Team's Dan Lambert. The only way to win is by knockout or submission. This match began with both wrestlers brawling in the back. And shoved Archer through a pan of glass. Archer was busted wide open. Page blasted Archer with a buckshot lariat. Archer rolled outside the ring. Page jumped over the top rope and hit a cross-body press on Archer. Page attempted a top suicida, but Archer pulled a trash can lid out from beneath the ring and smashed Page in the head with it. Dan Lambert unscrewed the top rope. There will be no buckshot lariat without the top rope, said Excalibur. Hangman tried to hoist up Archer for the dead eye. Page connected with two boots. Archer flung Page into the middle turnbuckle. Jake the Snake Roberts nearly took off Page's head with a patented short arm clothesline. Jake was going to DDT Page, but Archer stopped him because Archer wanted to inflict the punishment himself. Instead, Page DDT'd Archer on the floor. Page, bleeding heavily, cracked Archer with 4 shots with a candlestick to Archer's skull. Archer slammed Page through a trash can. Archer pulled out a fork and punctured Page's forehead. Archer followed up with a cannonball senton, wiping out Adam Page. Archer pulled out a steel chair that was wrapped in barbed wire. Archer picked up Page and slammed him with a black hole onto the steel ring steps. Page looks like he's on his professional deathbed, said Jim Ross. Archer was looking for a powerbomb, but Page grabbed the barbed wire off the chair. Hangman wrapped the barbed wire around his arm and plummeled Archer with forearms. Referee Paul Turner bent over to pick up the barbed wire, and Page vaulted over Turner's back, nailing Archer with a buckshot lariat. The collision sent Archer crashing through a table set up on the arena floor. Archer couldn't answer the referee's 10 count, so Page retained the championship gold. What a win for the fighting champion. Hangman Adam Page and still AEW World Champion, said Excalibur. Adam Cole walked out to the ring after the match. Cole grabbed the belt from the referee and placed it on Page's shoulder. The number 1 ranked Adam Cole making his intentions clear, said Excalibur. Catch AEW Dynamite on TBS next Wednesday live at 8/7 Central from the Nashville Municipal Auditorium in Nashville, Tennessee. Don't miss AEW Rampage this Friday at 10/9 Central on TNT, featuring the Young Bucks versus Roppongi Vice, Hook versus QT Marshall, Student Blake Lee. AEW World Tag Team Championship match. Champs Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus versus the Gun Club. And remember, the home of professional wrestling is All Elite Wrestling. Thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe. Hit that notification bell so that you guys do not miss an upload here in the channel. And I'm out.
Hey, everybody. It's your boy Skiz here. And if you don't subscribe to Blonde and the unstoppable denominator, then you are a toothy bumfuck, pussy ass bitch motherfucker.